spoiler alert, people die. But I'm like, oh, it's lighthearted.
Don't be closed-minded, because you will not get anywhere in life.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you as always for being here. Today we're going to be doing a chill video, which is all the book series that I need to finish in 2020. And like my 5-star predictions, which should be out already, this is a video I hope to come back to at the end of the year and see if I've managed to finish all of these series. There is quite a lot here, so hopefully I will be able to get through all of these. I really love the satisfaction of finishing series. It ignites something in me.
That's quite dramatic.
Something which we have to do. I believe this should be the first, if not one of the first videos I'm uploading in February, and so we have to pick out the book from my books that I'm scared of to pick up list. If you'd watched my 2020 goals video, which again I'll link up above and in the description, one of my goals is to get through some of my more backlist physical TBR that scare me a bit, and so I wrote them all on here. Now, something I had figured out after making that video is obviously I'm at uni, and so I can't take many of the books up to uni with me when I go up to Leeds. So I am in Leeds for February and March, so I need to pick March's book as well so I can take it with me up there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have it with me, chances are. So first we'll pick February before we get into the rest of the video. February is going to be another big one, Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. So I think between this and White Teeth, which is the book that I pulled for January, I have pulled the two biggest. So I'm actually super excited to read this. I've heard so many good things. It's basically a classic, and so I feel like this is actually going to be fairly easy for me to get through, but it is sitting pretty at over 500 pages. So a bit scary, but February for me will be a much less busy month than January. January has already been crazy, and it's going to be crazy right up until the end, and so I feel fine about getting this. Like, White Teeth I didn't want just because January is so busy, but yeah, I feel fine about Catch-22. And then we'll pick out March as well. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Okay. So The Power of Now is, I guess, a bit of a more spiritual book, and I think it's just like how to achieve your best self. I just read a kind of self-help book for my Norwich City players pick my TBR or reading their favourite books video. I'll link that again. I've linked so much, we're only like a couple of minutes in, but I didn't like that. But I'm hoping I'll like The Power of Now. Plus I have the audiobook on Scribd, so I can flip between them. So I feel fine about that one again. Okay, those pulls are fine. Those pulls are fine, they're not as bad as January's pull. Okay, so let's get into the series. Which one should we go for first? So the first series, which I definitely want to complete in 2020, is the Diviner series by Libba Bray. I own books 1 to 3 of this already. I have them all down here somewhere. And book 4 is just about to come out when I'm filming this. It's not out yet. I liked this quite a bit. I gave it 4 stars, the first book in the series, but I've heard a lot of people say that it improves as it goes along. And I like the kind of spooky element of this. I like how it has a bit of grit to it, the series, but I almost want it to have a bit more grit, you know? I want it to have a bit more oomph to it. I often said the kind of grit that Ninth House had, I wished this had, because it almost just felt like there was a little bit of punch missing. I mean, I know it's YA, so that's probably why it can't be quite as punchy. Since I own all the books, and this was a series that I was so excited to get into, particularly because of Kat from Paperback Dreams, she recommended it a lot, and so I bought it because of her when I was over in Florida back in April of 2019. I bought the first 3, and I've still only read the first 1.
How dare you? You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
So that is unacceptable. Hopefully I will get to Lair of Dreams very soon. I think that'll be actually one that I pick up fairly soon, so I'm just a bit intimidated by its size. I keep going for smaller books instead of that. The next series is one that I have been so excited to get through for so long, and that is the Girls of Paper and Fire series by Natasha Niang. This is obviously the first in the series, and I already own the second in the series, so I have the second one to read. The third one I believe comes out, or should be coming out, near the end of 2020. I'm not sure if it has an official release date yet. I will put it up on the screen if it does. I feel super excited to read this. So in this we follow Lay, who is part of the paper caste. In the society there are 3 castes, one which is fully human, one which is half human, half demon, and one which is demon. And the more demon you are, the more power you have in the society. And every year some paper girls are chosen to come and be forced to sleep with the king, essentially. And so this obviously deals with a really serious topic, and I thought that the way it was handled in the first book was incredible. It was so amazing and so touching. I've spoken about this so many times on my channel. I'm sure you're probably sick to death of hearing me talk about it, but I've heard very mixed things about the second book in the series. This is still one that I want to get to really soon, so I may have even read it by the time you're watching this. I've heard a lot of people say, particularly Rachel Marie, who I believe DNF'd this, that Natasha wanted it to be a 2-book series, but the publishing house convinced them to make it into a 3-part, a trilogy. And a lot of people say that you can tell this is definitely a very travel-y book. That does fill me with trepidation a bit, but I loved the way she wrote, and so... And I'm a bit nervous because I don't think all the characters I loved in the first book are going to be in this one, so I am filled with nerves. But regardless of whether I don't like this book or not, I'll definitely read the last one. And because I think when I'm invested in a series, particularly from the get-go, I want to finish it. If I read the first book in the series and it's a 2, no way. But if I've read the first book in the series and it's a 5, even if the middle one is a bit of a letdown, I still want to read the last one. So, and I just like love them together. Aren't they amazing? I still need to take the Barnes & Noble sticker off of it. But yeah, this series is definitely one I want to get to and finish by the end of this year. The next series I want to get to is the Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson. These, I believe, are all out now, or the 3rd one is going to come out soon. And it's just a bit of light-hearted mystery. I mean, spoiler alert, people die. But I'm like, oh, it's light-hearted.
Don't be closed-minded, because you will not get anywhere in life.
Right.
I think I spoke about this in my cozy reads video, and everyone's, well, what's more cozy than a murder? I'm like, yes! But it's definitely a light mystery, even though people are dying. Get rid of that. In terms of the writing, in terms of the pace, it's a light mystery. So in this we follow Stevie, who goes to a school for gifted individuals, and there was a murder there, I believe about 70, 80 years ago, and she loves true crime, and so she is there because she believes she can solve the mystery, and things start happening when she turns up. I liked this book a lot, and I'm very excited to get to the rest in the series this year. I feel like it's just the kind of books, they're good palate cleansers, I feel like, this series. They're not too serious, they're not too intense, and so you can definitely just read them in between some heavier books. Okay, the next series I really want to get to is the Renegades series by Marissa Meyer. I'm holding the second book in the series up because I prefer it in terms of the cover to the first one, because I have the English paperback for the first one. So in this we follow Nova, who is part of the anarchists in this superhero society, and the anarchists are kind of the villains, and she grew up with them, and she decides to go undercover with the Renegades, who are the superheroes, to find out information from them to feed back to her found family, essentially. And of course she's going to develop feelings for the people that she gets to meet, form friendships, and so it's a kind of like back and forth. What side will she go for? And I think we're going to find that out in the finale of the series, which is Supernova. I'm hoping to get my hands on it really soon. The thing about this series is, I loved the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, like adored it. I really want to do a reread of it, maybe this year. Maybe I'll begin the reread of it this year once I've got into the year a bit and feel a bit more settled in my reading. But I don't love this series as much. I think I gave Renegades 3 stars and then this 4 stars. They are the kind of books that you can read so fast. I read this in one sitting, and it's not like it's a tiny book. Do you know what I mean? You just fly through it because of the way it's written. And so again, in between some of the bigger, heavier books I have, I feel like this is a really great palate cleanser, and I'm excited for the end of the series. I've heard a lot of people actually really enjoyed it, more so than some of the rest of the series, so I feel good about it, and I think I'll just read whatever Marissa Meyer writes, to be honest, because I loved the Lunar Chronicles so much. So yeah, I'm very excited to get to the last in this series. series this year. So a bit different from some of the other ones that I've mentioned, but the next series I want to complete, or at least get up to date with, because I don't know how many there are going to be in the series. I think it's going to be quite a long one in the end, but it is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I have just read this book in the graphic novel video which I put out and adored, so I really can't wait to get to the rest of this series. I need volume 2 immediately. I think I'll probably read it in February if I can get my hands on it, because wow, this is just...
You know how I feel about you. If there was anyone that I could actually be, or someone I aspire to, you know you're the one.
It made me want to cry. I want to reread it right now. Literally, I could sit here quite happily right now and read it, even though I probably finished it about 4 days ago. So the characters in this are just so amazing, and I feel like I know them. I went to a boys' grammar school for 6th form. It's a bit complicated to explain to Americans, but it's basically 6th form is your last 2 years of high school. And if you go to like a one gender school, like an all girls or an all boys school for high school, for our high school, for 6th form you can move, and all girls allow boys in and all boys allow girls in just for the 6th form. So that's where I went, and this is set in an all boys grammar school. They're in year 10 and 11 though, which are the 2 years before 6th form. And so I just felt like I knew these characters. I knew the setting that this was in so well. Like, it was so weird. It kept just taking me back to 6th form, and I think that enabled me to get into the story so much, and I just adore the main characters in this. They are just like the purest ever, so I really cannot wait to get through this, and I believe the 3rd in the series is coming out in the beginning of February, so I'm just gonna plow through this. As soon as I can get my hands on one of these, I will. And if you haven't picked this up yet, it will take you like half an hour to read, and it is incredible. It's incredible. The next series I want to complete by end of 2020 is the Shadow and Bone trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I enjoyed this. I gave it 3 stars. I didn't love it, but I loved Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, and I just really want to complete this series. I'm invested with the characters now. I think the world, for me, the thing that kept me back from giving this 4 stars or something like that, was that the world felt very flat. It didn't feel like I understood the world. Do you know, in fantasy sometimes you just understand the politics of the world and the situation the characters are in, and who links with what, you know? And something like Girls of Paper and Fire, I understood the situation and the context we were in immediately, right? But I still feel lost on a lot of the aspects of this society. I don't fully understand what kind of society we're in, and for me that's why I had to give it 3 stars. But I still want to get through this series. I want to read all of Leigh Bardugo's work, and they're very easy to read, so it's not like you're spending a load of time with these books. For me, the real reason that I want to get through this series is so I can then get through Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. I cannot wait to get to these. I've obviously heard such amazing things about them, and everyone raves about them, and so I can't wait to get to know these characters and this universe. And I know you don't have to read the Shadow and Bone trilogy in order to read these, but my like perfectionist has to do everything so I have no choice. So yeah, I cannot wait to get to these. I'm really hoping I'm able to read all 4 books that enable me to finish these by the end of the year. So the next series that I want to complete is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Keris Manaselko. This series, I really butchered her name there. So again, this I gave 3 stars, but for me, once I start a series, unless I hated it, I'm invested. And I've heard a lot of people say that the series gets better as it goes on, that the first one's a bit meh, and then the rest of the series picks up. And I really love the setting. I love the Victorian England setting. It's something I keep thinking, oh, I wish I could just read another Victorian England book. So I think for the setting and the vibes of it alone, I'm gonna wanna read this whole series. So in this we follow a young girl. I've forgotten her name. Isn't that so bad? I read this like 3 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. Audrey Rose. We follow Audrey Rose as she studies under her uncle, who is I can't remember he's a scientist who cuts people up.
That's disgusting. I'm blocking you. How do I block somebody on this thing? This is gonna be fun. Report comment.
I can't remember what the actual word is. Anyway, that's what they do. They examine and study dead bodies, which is obviously a bit of a controversial thing for young women to be doing in Victorian England, and so it's kind of just her struggling against the societal expectations, but also Jack the Ripper is out here killing gals, and so she is trying to figure out who Jack the Ripper is, and it's just a bit of a fun YA. It's a bit trashy. I don't mean that in a bad way, like I like trash, but it is a bit trashy, do you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I still want to finish the series, and I reckon I will by the end of the year, because right now it's wintry, and at the end of the year it's wintry, so I feel like I'll be reading it in one of those areas. God, you can tell I'm tired. I'm not making any sense. And then the last series I hope to finish this year, I think I will definitely finish this, and that is the Illuminae Files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I loved this. This is my first book of 2020 and I gave it 5 out of 5. Incredible. I've spoken about this a lot, so I won't go on about it too much, but we follow a couple who break up right before their planet is invaded and they have to flee. This is told through multimedia format, so we see surveillance footage, we see online chats, we see transcripts of conversations, we see like logs, electronic logs. It's just incredible. It's such an imaginative way to tell a story. It's so unique, and I need to get my hands on books 2 and 3 immediately, because I can tell this is going to be one of my favourite books of the year. Last year The Secret History was the first book I read in the year, and it ended up being my favourite book of the year, and this I think is definitely going to be up there again. I obviously am good at choosing my first read of the year. Let's hope that continues. And so yeah, I feel like this is definitely going to be one I buy and bypass so much of the rest of my physical TBR just to read this, even though I don't own books 2 and 3 yet. I feel like I'm going to buy them really soon and then forget about all the other books on my TBR. So, but yeah, I think I'll definitely be finishing this before the year ends. So there we have it. That is all the books that I wish to finish. I'm going to put a little poll up there. You tell me which series you think I should complete first, because there's a lot here. You tell me which ones you think I should prioritise, either in the comments below or hit that poll up above and have a little vote. Thank you so much as always for watching. I love hanging out with you guys here. I feel so lucky as always to be here, and yeah, I hope we can continue to have a lot of fun together. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll be back soon with another video, and I hope you're well until then. Bye!